Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to day 3 of Innovate Summit. We've mixed a few things up, did a little bit of scrambling. I heard my buddy Herb Lang had a little incident, so he's not able to be a part of the scramble. But we have a nice addition. My friend Matt is going to be joining us today. We have Jeremy, Jessica, and Jim, people that I am familiar with and excited to hear them talk about the social media and innovation behind it. Apparently, we have some swag.
Listen, Mr. Swag Ball.
You know about swag.
Stuff we all get.
You guys
What's fun with that?
So can we ask questions? Part of throwing things.
Yeah.
So I love to ask this question because I think it's really fascinating just for myself. I want to ask you guys what have you learned so far? Is there something that you really took away that was really fascinating to you that you have learned? Okay, Larry.
Try not to take VC money.
Try not to take VC money. I
Want to pass a microphone around? Want to pass out a microphone?
Yeah.
Anybody like getting stuff thrown at them?
Really?
Yes, there's a story. I'm sorry, go ahead, Jim.
Let me think what I learned here. I learned quite a bit. I have actually a full notepad worth of stuff. I wish I had it with me right now. I learned. Can I think about it? Can you come back to me in a second?
Okay. While you're thinking about stuff, yeah.
Okay.
Question here. You're so
Hey everyone, for those I've met, I'm Alan. Nice to be here with all of you. Yeah, I've been reflecting a little bit on. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if I should let you talk about. I've been thinking about the power of ultimate connectors, such as Brian. And even though this isn't the largest conference in the world, the quality of the people here really makes that irrelevant. How that this huge, large crowd, and I think this concept of a master connector who masterfully curates other people who are connectors, even in the very few, the potential and that power is really something kind of unique and refreshing.
Well said, good sir. Everyone, witty retort. Ready? Okay. You're ready. You're fine. You've been vetted. So, to your point, to append your point, I think that large crowds are a smokescreen for the untalented to just say that they are having a good show. Let's think about something for a second. How many people, I don't know, go tweet it later. I won't remember it, so write it down. Large crowds are a smokescreen for the untalented. Great. Okay. How many people run the world? 100? Can we agree maybe something like that? Do they need a bigger conference to have 1,000 people to put on fake airs? They do not. Okay. Can I tell you a little story about these? So we created these for South by Southwest when we used to have a booth that was made by hand by John Jackson, who used to drive it from Kentucky to Austin, Texas on the back of his truck. And he and I are really glad we don't have to put up with that crap anymore. We just bring it here instead. This is easier to get people to come through, all that kind of stuff. So my oldest daughter, Rose, designed these really long time ago, and it says, "You're doing great," and it also has the name of our company on the inside. And they also glow in the dark. The concept behind them is that in the long haul of a large show, you're kind of tired, and you literally need a reminder like that. These are a limited edition. They were actually printed by a friend of mine who has since passed away. And this might be all of them. So that's kind of special. So, like I said, we're going to throw things at you. But go on.
And to add on to that, so there's 8.2 billion people on this planet.
Yep.
And for whatever reason, every single one of us are sitting in this room. And when you think about that, there's a lot of intentionality and a purposeful nature associated to that. So it's easy to go to these types of conferences and not be plugged into how powerful that piece can actually be, and in a place where we all have other things that we probably could be doing, ensuring that knowing out of 8.2 plus billion people on the planet, we are all here, and let's be present and make really good, useful time of that.
Okay, so who's already doing great? Everybody, okay, good. So everybody who's not already doing great needs more than that.
All right. So I got it now. What I learned about space elevators. And what I mean by that is, I'm very strategic about what I do, where I go, and how I move around. And sometimes you got to learn to break that to get something new inside your brain. And when I was listening to your talk and conversation, I for the first time started to figure out, well, how does that affect me? And what can I do about that moving forward? Because you think about Star Trek and all these things, and how would that change business? How would that change relationships? So I'm privileged enough to start thinking about that conversation moving forward and just fully realized.
I love that. It's all about an idea. I mean, it really is. Like, we put a lot of complexity around coming up with all of these super complicated, brilliant things, which is also important. But everything begins with a simple idea. It really does.
I think the corporate animals should be shipped by space elevators.
Agreed, they all need to go in orbit. Stupidity could be a chief export. I'll shut up now.
Another quote. Like, I feel like we're capturing. We want to put this on?
Yeah. Can we get that mic for check there? Awesome. Happy Thursday. Good morning. We are excited to do social media innovation. We'll see where this one goes. If there are any more questions, let's do a couple introductions. I'm Matthew Sullivan, I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been practicing digital marketing, playing with social media since when stuff first came around 2 years ago.
Jeremy Off with Smart Media, public relations firm, and this is something that I started after a health crisis nearly destroyed me, my life, my business, and everything, and had to start over. So that's it. We're back.
Jessica Suter with Now Marketing Group. We're a relationship marketing agency, and I also run the social media program.
Jim Fuse, president of Fusion Marketing. I do marketing the Marine Corps with, retired Marine Lieutenant Colonel, and I've been doing digital marketing and remote live stream production since 2018.
Fantastic. So we've got a lot of questions here. I'm not sure exactly the best ones to start. There's probably a bunch of questions on the top of everyone's mind about social media and innovation, what's next, and where we should go, on the hot topics. So definitely we'll start with the questions. If there was a urgent question, we can definitely take it towards the end. We've got 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Fantastic. So how can brands preserve authenticity while automation and tools become more common in content creation?
So, the first thing I think is if you're going to focus on authenticity, which you absolutely should, you have to actually engage with your audience. You can't just look at it like, oh, hey, how can I use AI to create this massive stream of content and just pump it out there? Because that's what everyone else is doing, and that's what everyone else is sick of. So spend the time, invest the effort into building the relationships, and that's where you're going to get the results.
Speaking my language here, all about relationships, and the world does not need more content. We already have so much even before AI, and now it's even more content dumps. So I like to say, like, yes, use the tools, help it give you better ideas, but don't forget the inbox. It's kind of like, would you rather have like a Hallmark card or a handwritten card, right, from someone? So if you use like tools like social media and AI, then don't forget to, as Jeremy is saying, engage, but potentially even take it a step further. Send a voice memo, get inside the inbox, let people know that you've heard of them, you've seen them, and that you remember them. Because nothing's going to replace that. And if you want to stand out to be remembered, you have to take those extra steps to do just that.
Somebody should quote that. Would you rather have a Hallmark card or a handwritten card?
Please do.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, you probably would figure out that I'm going to say live video, but live video is how you can be real, right? And we can tell, it's a little scary that people are trying to use AI avatars in place of themselves on a video. I mean, you're going to turn the camera on, why not just be yourself? And when you're doing live, there's no do-over. It's you, it's real, and you can connect with your audience and engage them even if they're not there. You can engage with people from all over the world. So I think that is a way to, one, keep AI from getting rid of that human connection.
So going with what you were saying, Jessica, taking this to the next level, and to quote Gary Vee, he said the currency of today is attention. So you talk about Hallmark cards versus handwritten cards. How do you get that attention online? How do you maintain it? How do you help brands and content creators work with that so that their optimizing, you're doing the efforts to go for the right attention, not just any attention.
I kind of disagree a little bit with that quote because I think the currency of business is relationships and experiences. It's a little bit different than attention. I think it's not about how many, not counting the likes, but counting the conversations that are being started, the meaningful conversations. So you can use AI to help you find more of those conversations that are happening and how that you can directly engage with the right people. But taking it to the next level and thinking about, hey, who am I replying back to? It's not just for more attention, but it's for those conversations that are going to lead to something. I think with what we've all been saying here this whole week, and even last night in the lobby, talking about, like, you can tell when somebody's genuine. You can tell when somebody really does care, and you can out-care the competition using some tools with AI to help it become more meaningful. But I don't think it's just about the attention, it's conversations.
So it's quality over quantity, content in the right place at the right time, with the right people, so that conversation starts, that starts with the business decision, breaking down that noise of videos and
100%. One of the things I love to say is, like, you gotta be a magnet versus a warning is the goal, right? You want people to stick with you and you want to be with you for a long time, not just blast messages out to get attention.
Fantastic. So what's one innovation in social media you guys believe will redefine how brands connect audiences in 2025 and beyond?
I think that it's going to get down to building communities, right? It's not just the content you're creating or the tools that you're using to streamline it. It's actually building those meaningful relationships. And it's not even the platform in particular, right? It doesn't matter whether we're talking about X, TikTok, Instagram, but it's bringing those people into your own community. Jim was talking yesterday about using Substack in this way. But there's a million ways you can do it, but it's not where they are on the platform. It's bringing them closer into you and then further nurturing those relationships. And I think it's not so much the tech, but the relationships that we're building.
Yeah, and I just to follow up. Some people might say, "Well, why Substack as opposed to other platforms?" And and it may change a couple of years from now. But what I see with it is the fact that Substack has become what I call multimodal. Right? You can write, you can do audio, you can do video. But the other thing that I think is powerful compared to other platforms is you get people's emails. Now you can start having those one-to-one conversations that you don't get in Facebook groups, or even when you have a LinkedIn newsletter and you have thousands of subscribers, how many of their emails do you have? And so I think that makes it powerful, and because they keep adding these new features that really help you build community. I think that's the key, is building community. And it's not about having thousands, it's about having the right people in the right place.
100% agree. I think AI agents to drive people into whether that's an email box, or I see a lot of our clients doing like their own personalized AI chatbot to bring the conversation in. I think we've seen this shift happening over the past 5 years of what people like to say dark social, where things are going more into the inbox anyway, but it's like private communities where people just want to talk to who they want to talk to. I know having 3 teenage daughters, they don't want to be on Facebook, they want to share just direct messages with their friends on Snapchat or Instagram. And brands are, they can't track that traffic. They don't know how to be part of the conversation if it's in the inbox. So directing people to something like their email list or their own personalized chatbot with AI agents, I think is really going to help brands.
Very cool. So have platform algorithms evolved, and what should marketers be doing these days to stay visible?
Oh, they definitely evolved. We're talking about the relationships, and this isn't just a relationship, but it's also the technology side. So a lot of the platforms are putting a lot of emphasis on quality engagement. X has been doing a lot on this, but all of the platforms are doing it to varying degrees. What I mean by that is it's not just a like, or it's not just a, hey, great post, but it's contributing something meaningful and that back and forth. So if your profile is consistently getting in-depth, meaningful comments, then that signals to the algorithm that's the kind of content that other people want to see, and it starts showing your content to more people. So not only are you building great relationships, but now you're reaching a larger audience, and that's key today.
100%. You know what you said. Also, I think it's helping. Data tells a story, right? And I think with AI and the advancements now, we can help showcase that story a lot smarter. Especially being an agency, like and working with a lot of clients. Like now, I can tell them, okay, here's why we need to move to here instead of staying on this platform. Or here's like what Jeremy is saying, the kind of content that your community wants to see more of and engage with, and there are things happening. But I think another advancement is just being able to tell a better story connecting the tools together.
Yeah, and I think too, and we have Brian out here that used to work with Google, just the way things are changing from search engines to answer engines. Like now you're going in perplexity to find the information you want as opposed to Google. So as the algorithms evolve, you have to figure out how am I going to get found if people are no longer, as an example, going to my website because my website's not even popping up based on how people are searching and how they're being given those responses from these AI engines.
So just getting off the invoice fee and all that stuff that's going on, what's one thing that you see that's happening in terms of social media innovation that is probably not covered by the press and we probably want to be aware of that you see might be going on in the next like 3 years?
I would say that you have to show up in these AI platforms. So it used to be 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, if you didn't show up in Google, you were a ghost. Today, if you don't show up in these AI tools, you're going to be a ghost. We got to show of hands. How many of you have searched your name or asked one of these AI platforms about yourself? All right. Okay, fair amount of you. Do you guys see do they tend to know who you are and have a lot of details about you and have accurate information? Okay, a few of you guys, yes. For most people, that's not the case. And the way that things work now, when you're not showing up in these, you might as well be nobody. And they're looking at a lot of things. They're looking at what's happening on social media, but they're not just going and crawling. They're looking at who's getting legitimate engagement. They're looking at media, trade publication, local news outlets, national news outlets. They're looking at your website to a degree, but that doesn't have much of an impact. So you have to actually create social proof that then shows up in these AI tools. And if you're not doing that, you're falling way behind the power curve.
I keep wanting to say just ditto because that's so spot on. Fun fact, if you do ask your AI agent or your AI about you, you can give them responses back if you need more info about you, just a fun fact. But to echo what Jeremy was saying, if you Google anything now, like you can see it's social, local, mobile that shows up even before now Google results. Like Google results used to be, with the ads and then everybody created the first page, which we still do. But it's now there's like 3 or 4 organic results. So if you're not showing up on social, you're not using some of these tools and educating yourself how to show up in the AI results and continue with social media, you're not going to be found as often. So that you definitely do need to pay attention to that.
Show of hands, how many of you have been doing video explaining what you do or educating your potential customers? Okay. So there's a large amount of you that happen. And so I go to a lot of these business association events and write things, hey, we're going to network, we're going to do my 60% value. But then it's like, well, I don't know anything about your company. How am I supposed to share you with my audience if we have nothing out there? And so I think by just even doing short videos, like, hey, we just came out to Jessica's house and here's what, this is the before and after of what we did. People said, wow, these people really do quality work. I'm going to hire them. So I think that's where there's still, as much as, Cisco, I think years ago said, 80% of stuff is going to be video by 2019. We're still not there. So there's still that opportunity by using video to tell your story and educate people about what you do. I think that's something that's going to continue to grow. Because if you also think from the senses, right, video gives you every sense except for, at the moment, right, touch, taste, and smell. And so you really get the impact of that message where other forms of you don't always get all the context.
So going with what Jessica was saying, have you basically Googled stuff on AI? Have you guys gone into Copilot, Complexity, Gemini and all these, and who was able to see what's your profile and if there's a mistake or that is it responsible enough to actually be able to do what it needs to do?
Yeah, there's still some questions out there that like I've been back and it corrects it for me, so I don't know if it's just being polite to me at the moment. I don't know about you guys, but I'm polite to my AI. I'm like, please and thank you, because we don't know what the future is. But I'll ask somebody else, and if there's the country like Chad asked him, to do the same thing, to question if it knows who the story catcher is. And then, I got a different result on my side after training it. So I think that there was some generality where it was updated, but not perfect yet.
Yeah, I would agree. It's like I was doing something with AI with Action Gamma, and it was still pulling in like a show that I haven't done in 2 years that I was still with others on shows. So it doesn't necessarily realize in some cases that you stop doing it. That's a little challenge.
It's not up to date.
I found the same thing. If I'm correcting it, giving guidance as to, oh, you got that wrong, like it's field appreciated. It's cited me as an army paratrooper. Like, no. And if I correct it, and this is across the board, whether it's Grok, whether it's ChatGPT, whatever, if I correct it, it'll do it internally for me, but that doesn't change its broader data, right? That all comes from external sources, so that's where the third-party validation comes in.
Yeah. So switching the conversation to brands and social media and innovation, where do you think this is going in terms of our clients? Like, how do we best serve them? What would be the possibly the right things that everybody cares about when they're helping the brand or their brand on social media to help get forward in the future?
The big thing is human connection, right? We're hammering this kind of meaningless words to death here, but it's the human connection. The whole idea of having a big company brand is not really a thing. Right? You want to connect with other humans. So getting, you've got your people at the company, they're going to talk about the company and promote it that way and build the brand that way. But then get other smaller entities in the industry to help promote it and build the brand that way. But as far as like putting up a company brand page, that's basically what it's at.
So one of the things I do like to do with our clients is teach them about AI, show them the ways that we can use it to do some things, smarter and faster. However, not lose sight of, again, the relationship side and growing, like we like to say, from word of mouth to world of mouth, getting more people talking about you, and that the only way to do that is providing better experiences. So not losing sight of that, because I think any of us can now spot if somebody just posted something on social that was ChatGPT written. Like, it's very, very obvious, even with the emails. So teaching them how to train their AIs to sound more like them and their tone of voice, and that everything is different. Everyone is different, I should say. Their tone of voice is like them, but not lose sight of that you still have to do those other things, like voice memos, or handwritten cards, or things like that that are a yes and to using AI.
I think it's important too that as opposed to a company wants you to help them, it's like they have to be willing to tell the story. I mean, how many of you have run into the situations like, well, I need you to post about this event that I'm having, tomorrow. It's like, well, you're not going to get the impact. It's more about getting out ahead, planning. Maybe that's where AI can help you plan. Like, hey, if you're going to have an event, this is when you should do things. But they have to be willing to create the content and not expect you to do it for them. I think that's just lazy, and they're just thinking of, if I throw money at them, I'm going to have success. I think that's really important.
So, let me talk about that. 2 minutes. Okay, so last question. What do you think will be obsolete in social media by 2027?
I would say all of these auto posting tools, those are dead. And I think there's algorithmically a factor where those get kind of downgraded a little bit anyway. But it's really going to be about creating original content and then putting it out there organically, or not organically, but natively, and doing it that way, rather than trying to treat it like a fire hose and just trying to push everything out.
I agree with that, because I feel like more real-time people doing things with real people not just AI related. So definitely agree with that. So I feel like some of the news feeds may be more obsolete. It's going to be more video. It's going to be more short form content. But yeah, just agree.
This might be a bold prediction, but I'm assuming Facebook groups. I think it'll be dead in 2 years because.
Kill my Facebook group.
Well, I think the problem is because of the way Facebook is changing the algorithm, and it makes it difficult for a group owner to really engage, and taking away tools like live streaming into groups and making it more work than it needs to be. I mean, that's what I see.
Fantastic. Thank you, Brian. Does everyone have any questions on the panel?
Before we do the questions, I have to say, let's be the coolest little catchphrases. You just had that one, was it word of mouth, the world of mouth? There were several throughout this. You've got some killer catchphrases.
My problem with the whole idea of video is the transfer of information is so slow.
And it's so hard to find something that you're interested in. I mean, how do you get around that? I'm looking for some information. If I'm on there, I want to find something out. I don't want it to be a hallucination, which it always is.
I've honestly started using like ChatGPT more than I do Google for something to really finding answers, like especially the paid for one. For example, I was in Hawaii last month, and the center console of the car, like the screen broke. And instead of going through the doom scroll of YouTube videos where you have to watch 17 minutes before they actually give you the answer, I just pulled out my ChatGPT video and I was like, this is not working, how do I fix it? Boom. 3 seconds later, they walked me through the steps. So I don't know if that's what you're looking for, but that's helped me.
Yeah, I would just say I start to follow the people that I know who provide the video content that I'm looking for, and I think that's like curating the video feed to find it. And it may take some time, but I think as you get more comfortable with it, it becomes easy.
Look at some of the questions that you're getting, right? What are people regularly asking you? I guarantee you, you're getting a lot of the same questions repeatedly. So those are great topics to start doing your videos on. Something else you could do, I've not tried this before, this is all theory right now, but I bet if you went into ChatGPT or Grok or whatever and say, what are some of the most common questions you get about XYZ? And then create videos that answer those questions.
Quick speed round question. Since you're talking about training AI, do you have a particular model that you use all the time? Or are you trying to train everything from DeepSeek to Claude? Or are you using ChatGPT just multiple times? Is that your baby? That's the one? Or is it across the board?
Well, it's across the board. I know we both use a tool called Magi, where it integrates all of them into one platform. So that's where I'm doing most of the training.
Yeah, I use Magi as well, but I would say of the tools I like using, I use Claude probably more often as opposed to Chat. Because I feel like everybody just feel like it's a pair of ChatGPT, and there's so many other LLMs out there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, everybody.
Good round of applause.